Yo, 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 what's up? My name is Devin Jones, and thank you for taking the time to listen to the second live conversation for the Good News Cleveland podcast. Today, I am joined by Kathryn Ross, who is the program director at EYEJ. It is such a pleasure to share this space with you today, and thank you for giving us a moment to speak. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Devin. Thank you for having us. How are you doing?
I'm good, no complaints, trying to stay safe as everyone else is.
Absolutely.
So, before we get started with our conversation, I think it would be good to offer some context for those who are watching at home or wherever they may be. So, could you give us a little background information, maybe the history and the mission statement of EYEJ?
Yes, EYEJ was founded about 6.5 years ago out of Cleveland, Shaker Heights specifically, on the mission to amplify youth voices. Our executive director, Mai Moore, was frustrated after the Trayvon Martin ruling and wanted to do something about engaging youth, hearing their voices, and addressing the social justice issues in Cleveland and throughout the United States. So she started with having discussions in her church, and it has expanded in the last 6 years to have served 1,500 students in CMSD and 4 different rec centers.
Well, 6 years, that's quite a while, and I assume that you guys had a regular pattern of work. And so, with this consistently changing period of time, what has EYEJ done to, I guess, adapt and continue to offer services to you?
Yeah, so our mission really is to amplify youth voices by connecting them with diverse people, and allowing them the space to have these conversations, to ask the questions, and then to come up with actionable steps for change. Of course, COVID is impacting all of us. It has really shown that there is a lot of disparities in the opportunities for students to access programming and education online. And so, in response to COVID, we immediately took our programming to schools and piloted it online. Just to take a few steps back, our primary program is called a discussions. It is a 12-week long discussion series in which we go into schools and we have conversations about things such as toxic stress, violence, exploring money, civil rights. And we have these discussions with these students twice a week for 12 weeks. The 8 weeks are really designed to build students' content and knowledge on the topics and allow for space for the students to amplify their voices. And then the last 4 weeks, we do a reflection project in which students get to identify an issue that they have a personal connection with in their community and in their lives, and take actionable steps to make change. So currently, right now, I'm utilizing photography, which is a great art in general, is a great form of social awareness and a catalyst for social change. And so that's what normally would happen in schools. And so immediately we took our curriculum, which is really built off of civil, social emotional development, inclusion, civil discourse, as well as bringing in those individuals that are diverse from different communities, different backgrounds, and having the conversation in a diverse, inclusive space. So we immediately took our programming online, able to pilot a program within weeks of schools. It's called YODJ, so that's Youth Online Discussing Justice. We utilize the same curriculum as prior, however, we've taken it and made it in a format for Zoom. However, in doing so, we've recognized that accessibility to Wi-Fi and technology is really difficult for the students that we have served.
And so, one of the things I've been looking at you guys at social media, you divide. And so, this disparity, I feel like, is being, I think, felt by the people within the confines of our city of Cleveland and in the country in general. So, what are ways that you guys are looking to address the digital divide within Cleveland?
Yeah, so the first thing that we did is we kind of had to address that there was an issue. And that came from all different directions. So that was first internally as a team. A digital divide in Cleveland. Access to technology is not within an equitable system, and majority of our students that we regularly serve are unable to access programming. And so after having this internal conversation as a team, we thought about, okay, what can we do to bring social awareness and utilize social policy to bring awareness to Cleveland as a whole, but then to bring change. And so another component of EYEJ is our youth council. We have a youth council. They're aged 15 to 25 years old, and they work together on different projects. So currently their initiative is called Connectivity, in which they are focusing on the Cleveland. And so to give a little bit of history and put some statistics and numbers into what how the digital divide is impacting youth in Cleveland. Currently, the CMSD student body, about 40% of those students do not have access to technology. 40% of these students are unable to log on, whether it's reading the news, whether it's reaching out to mentors, or it's having programming such as ours, or being in school. So 40%, that's a huge amount of students. I think CMSD serves something like 36,000 students. And so first we took upon the idea that we needed to research the digital divide in Cleveland is definitely a result of the segregation that we still see in Cleveland. Cleveland is one of the rated cities in the United States. And anyone who lives in Cleveland or who's been in Cleveland understands the political turmoil that still exists today. And the Youth Council work together to do some research on understanding better about the digital divide and how it's impacting our students. And after better understanding how many students it's impacting and address these issues, the Youth Council created a call for action demand statement. So they're working on both social policy as well as legislation. There's about a group of, I think there's about 25 students involved. We have 4 interns and 3 different mentors that are working on this team. And we're really trying to connect with other youth councils in Cleveland as a whole. So the Tremont councils we've talked to. We have students from the west side, from the east side, from the suburbs, from the city. So we're really bring collectively the energy and collectively bring focus to how critical this issue is.
So in that vein of how important and serious this issue is, you can see that things such as access to internet could be the determining factor to educational outcomes. And so with this current period of, I guess, anxiousness and divisiveness, do you see the impact on the youth being negative, and how do you see it going over time with these different?
Yeah, that's a great question, Devin. These students are facing a lot of barriers to begin with. And when they are able to technology or go to school, there's an increase in isolation. And so as a society and as educators and people who have influence on students in the system have to understand that for some students, going to school was their escape. That was their safe space where they were able to get away with whatever issues they were dealing with at home, whether it's violence in the house, in their community, poverty. Maybe that's where they were getting their food from, for breakfast and lunch. And so there's a lot of variables impacting our youth now that they're in school. We specifically talk about technology and the digital divide in Cleveland. we see that the toxic stress in which they maybe before had outlets for is piling up, and we definitely see the mental health of the youth declining.
So with EYEJ seeing those issues and seeing over time, besides ways that you guys are trying to deal with the digital divide, what resources are you offering to youth to deal with things such as toxic stress or feeling alone?
Yeah. So currently our youth council is working on and to focus on programming specifically for the mental health of youth. Finding ways to implement that around the digital divide is what we're really heading on, and what we're really calling for action and writing our proposal on is that broadband internet access needs to be available for all people of Cleveland by the fall of 2020. And they're for plans, and they're looking for funding, and they're asking, we cannot, and this is a quote from one of our students from the youth council, we cannot change the future if we are not plugged into the present. And I think that really stands forth to address the issues head on and systemically, and looking at equity in regards to systems, while also providing resources to students as best we can. So when we can talk to students, we are highly recommending distancing, hanging out outside, finding ways that they can still connect with friends, and be in a due to COVID, but still get to see people outside of their house, whether it's even get out of bed and take a walk. Some of these students are sleeping way more. They don't have no stability. And so we're really trying to encourage them as best as we can, that if they can't get on the Wi-Fi, if they can't be on at the pro and get outside, meet with friends when they can. And this is why the digital divide is such a critical issue in investing in our students in their future.
So I want to take it back a second. I remember earlier you had spoke about a real big issue in Cleveland about the segregation and turmoil here. And so my question is geared towards how viable, V-A-I-B-L-E, how possible do you see it being the option of bringing broadband internet, to the city of Cleveland by the fall? Have you guys received any pushback from the city council? How's the logistics looking about an issue like that?
Yeah, so we're still in the process of actually composing the bill. We're collaborating with another coalition in Cleveland has been working on connectivity for a longer period of time. But we've crunched the numbers, and it's not, I don't know offhand, but it's not to do so. And it's only going to take, I believe it was 30 days to be able to get all of Cleveland broadband internet. So on paper, yes, of course, this should be doable, should be important enough within legislation that it should be a right. I mean, when we think about the accessibility and what else internet impacts in regards to youth and in regards to everyone, it's beyond just education. A lot of healthcare and going to the doctors is becoming online. A lot of to play games is online. Being able to do programming through nonprofits. People are doing summer camps online. So we're not just looking at students specifically, but this is impacting the entire world. And so the fact that internet access isn't available for everyone should be everyone's problem, and it should be a right. And so in reality, it should get but the reality, like you said earlier, and like I said earlier, there is a lot of political turmoil in Cleveland. We don't really make change very quickly. And so one thing that we're really harping down on is bringing as many students as we can behind this, building strength in numbers. bringing the social awareness to the forefront, because it's not fair.
So, and that thing, this is called Good News Cleveland, and so this topic about the digital divide and the disparities that our youth in Cleveland are feeling is not necessarily. And so I think the good news lies in the ways that people are addressing these problems. And so I guess my question is geared towards what is in store for EYEJ in helping address these issues, and what are ways that people can connect with EYEJ, and how could youth in particular connect with EYEJ?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, we're really trying to broaden the numbers in regards to connectivity. We have opportunities all over for students to get involved. We're really about amplifying their voices, and it doesn't necessarily have to be around the idea of connectivity. If a student wants to address something else or feels like they haven't been heard in their community, their family, in their neighborhood, we want them to come to us. We're here to listen, and we're here to learn from these students. Our youth is our future, and it's unfortunate how much society failed them already. And so the cool thing about EYEJ is we're all about innovation and change. We do not rely on static and necessarily, because the world is changing all the time with COVID-19, how that's impacting everyone. And so one thing about EYEJ is, if a student has an idea or has something they want to bring to the table, we're ready to listen. We're ready to listen, and we're ready to support, and we're ready to find the resources and tools to amplify those students' voices, to make them have the ability of implementing in the world. And so whether that's working with the youth council ourselves or going through our programming. Right now, programming is completely free, and these students are getting the opportunity to talk to diverse mentors that they can reach out to afterwards. They can collaborate on other topics, and really expanding their lens and knowing that they're not alone. You're not alone in this, and there's people here to support you and want the change that you want to see in the world. And so, like the fact that this is a student-led mission and demand for change. This is student-led, addressing how it's impacting them. We allow our students to speak on the issue themselves, and we will have doing weekly EYEJ Speaks, which is a discussion with the community that we bring in an expert on the topic, a student who can speak on their experience in regards to the topic, and then someone from our team. And so we are going to speak about the digital divide in 2 weeks from now. So 2 Thursdays from now, we will have a group of students who are on this team right now working on this legislation bill to talk about how this is impacting their experiences, but also to talk about the power and change, how they are the ones at the forefront of this movement, and ones who are putting themselves in spaces to not just be a catalyst for change, but to demand it.
Yeah, so 2 things in response to that. I think the first is any way that we could help with good providing, I guess, exposure and necessary information to people about the bill, we would love to do that. And secondly, it's so great about the work that you guys are doing because you're looking to address real problems. And so a lot of people ask, where do the funds go when they donate and help other organizations? So in closing, I would like to ask you to give any additional comments or any additional announcements for what you think that the viewers may would like to see or to hear.
Yes. So currently we have an Empower campaign going on. Our goal is we are about 15,000 away from that goal. And that money goes directly towards this online programming that we've piloted due to COVID. And then the rest of the money goes towards stipends for the youth that are doing this work. I really try and provide them a stipend for their work, as well as the resource and tools to make change, because it's important to be able to give students the ability to explore money and understand how to utilize money and to budget, which is a topic that we address with our online discussion series. So that is exciting. We also will be having a day of giving, which I believe is at the end of July. So look out for that. It'll be a one day of giving. And then, of course, any donation Empower campaign, sharing it is wonderful. And I think one thing that is really important is as we're addressing all these issues in society as a whole, a lot of things have been brought to the forefront and to the light, and these discussions are happening, and they're uncomfortable and they're hard, but they need to continue to happen. And so I definitely open the floor to anyone who wants to be part of EYEJ, to be part of these discussions, or to tune in to our EYEJ Speaks, which is every Thursday at 10 a.m., where we take these discussions and really continue to have the hard conversations, and to reach out to us if you have ideas. And so we are working and planning on what our fiscal year is going to look like in the fall. And of course, because things are unknown with COVID-19, social justice arena as a whole. So any and all donations matter, whether it's just, like I said, sharing the Empower campaign or not. And then, of course, with educators and organizers and people who are working with youth in general, I think Cleveland we need to come together more. We need to collaborate more. We need to put aside some of the political differences that we have, because the youth deserve that. And collectively, we're obviously going to make way more sustainable, impactful change than without. So youth councils that want to be involved, we are happy and really interested in collaborating and connecting with other people in Cleveland.
Wow. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you. I think that one of the often most forgotten groups of people in our country is our youth. I think we often forget about our leaders, and we're never really reflective about how we grew up in comparison to how they're growing up. And so things that are trying to address the digital divide and different disparities that the youth are feeling, I think are wonderful, and they're always good news. So thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for inviting out of being able to support, talk about the mission, and get people involved. So again, numbers and strength. And if you want to reach out, you can reach me at katie@eyej.org. You can also visit our website, eyej.org. And we recently came out with a new of who we are in January, actually student-led photography and video project. So it's a super cool 4-minute video that kind of encompasses the impact EYEJ is trying to achieve in the youth of Cleveland.
So there you have it, folks. You got no excuse to stay uninformed.